importa.
This is Castle Advent. Queen Nilla reigns over the kingdom from within its walls. In the crowded audience chamber jostle all the white-robed adventurers stand. The palace guard calls over the tumult. Be silent. Her royal majesty graces us with her presence. The cacophony thank you all for whatever it takes. Whomsoever conquers this beast. At that, the gathered crowd cheers. Leave the dragon. Indeed, I thank you. It puts my mind at ease. The trio are indeed, but they be wrong. So we just gotta slay the dragon. Beside him, a strange creature. Pay attention, because this is important. There he is, a humble bounty hunter, seemingly when you heard about the quest to slay the dragon. Now then, you wonder why you need to sign anything, but head for the guard anyway. Shall we? Sign here, says the guard, handing you a pen and paper. You sign your name. After you've signed, you sign your companion's name as well. Mar, your friend, and though he can't speak the human tongue, he seems to understand it well. Thank you. Can't ask the dead what you want the reward as badly as you don't want to die. You figure you better make some strong friends. Offer to join forces with the Ivory Order trio? We select few are sufficient to defeat, and we certainly don't require the aid of a no-name wastrel. With that, the trio takes their leave of the castle. Find some good people to help you fight the beast. You're less likely to die that way. Don't get yourself killed out there, says the guard curtly. Asking Queen Nilla to join you is beyond preposterous. Better not even try. I'll let the Order handle this. Me, I'm heading home. Before you even open your mouth to ask him to team up, he cuts you off. Thanks, but no thanks. You weren't planning on sharing either, so you don't try to change his mind. Never know what you might hear that'll lead you in the right direction. The man wanders off somewhere, muttering to you'll need tough gear, the man says, wandering off. And then the two disappear out of the audience chamber. No way am I adventuring with anyone who keeps that sort of creepy company. The castle will close to visitors shortly. Please be on your way. You're shooed out of the castle. In the end, you set out, just the two of you, to hunt the dragon. Earlier, you saw the bit about the handsome reward for whoever— Monster! The woman cries, and startled by the spell, Mar grows dizzy. You whirl to the woman and shout, "What are you doing? This ain't a monster." The two of you bicker for quite a while. When you tell her you're after the same thing, she squints down. No way are you teaming up with— I only want to— You couldn't have asked for a better companion. She tells you she is a witch, but says nothing of why she hates monsters or what grudge she bears against the dragon. The woman tells you she's so terrified of what might happen if the dragon attacks the town. She hasn't been able... Welcome to Nexton, hails a man. You try asking the man if he... Welcome to Nexton, he whispers in your ear. The man helpfully advises you take the opportunity to purchase equipment and curatives while you are in town. A woman sits hunched over by the side of the road. She's sprained her ankle and needs you to take her to the nearby apothecary. Ask someone else, you say. You make to leave, but Melanie stands in your way. We've got the dragon to worry about, you say, like an insensitive child. Ignoring you, Melanie gingerly helps the woman up. Mar bends so the woman can get on his back, and you watch them walk away for a moment before following, complaining to yourself about what a wasted time this is. You arrive at the apothecary. She thanks you and pulls something from her breast pocket. You've helped some. It might be a good idea to do that again, should you come across anyone else in need of assistance. The girl says if you follow this road northwest for a bit, you'll come to Thryston. That's probably part of the reason the Order has so many ardent supporters. Apparently a monster researcher lives in Thryston and might know something. It seems you've learned all you can here. Time to move on. As your eyes roam everywhere but the path you walk, you barrel right into someone. When you turn to see Berwyn, he jerks forward. The trio advances on you. How dare you treat disciples of the Ivory Order with... They're the ones who ran into you. We were standing still, muttering a half-hearted... Thief! Bellows Berwyn, drawing his weapon. Guess you've got to fight your way past. Let's do this. As if forced by your magnet, it would seem you have the... You mock a scandalized look on his face. Now give that back, says Winifred. We mustn't tarry any longer. To the monster researcher of Thriston with us. Hedwin urges his companions and the trio depart. Aimless wandering can be fun, but if you want purpose and direction, I'd suggest sticking to the path. There's no harm in trying it, he boldly claims. Well, only a fool would drink. The suspicious doctor grumbles mightily, making a fine show of his discontent as he takes his leave. You kick a rock down the... The rock you kicked must have hit it, because it is really mad. Brace yourself for battle. If anyone knows anything about the dragon, you ask Cypri if he knows. He says he'll tell you. If you reclaim the treasure, Cypri promises to... It seems the treasure-thieving monster makes its hideout in the western cave. That's where you'll want to head. Light can't reach the furthest depths of the cave. You don't have a torch, but you can always buy one at the item shop in Thriston. You make your exit. How may I help you? The proprietress inquires. Will that be all? The proprietress asks. You light the torch. It'll be much easier to explore now with your surroundings better illuminated. Though the torch lights your immediate surroundings, you still cannot peer far into the distance. Upon closer examination of the door, you put the magic sphere into the cavity, and the door opens. What horrors transpired here? You make to the next instant, something leaps at you out from the darkness. The monster defeated, you turn toward the treasure chest and see those Ivory Order jerks rooting through it, tugging the spoils from the chest, knowing you couldn't stop. Nice of them to... For some reason, Melanie picks up the ragged doll. Your shoulders slump. All that effort. You find nothing else even close to treasure. Hopes leave now. You left the western cave. This is all. Cypri's eyes wide. Without breaking his gaze away from the doll, Cypri tells. Since then, Cypri has treasured this doll as he treasured. Cypri turns to Melanie. So you reclaimed the treasure by complete accident. You step closer to Cypri. How are you gonna thank us? Cypri gestures as if to say. According to Cypri, you might be able to learn. Upon hearing that, you'll need this, he says, and holds out something for you. You won't make it through the bewildering wood. Your sights set on the distant Unionville, you resolve to navigate through the bewildering wood. You hastily grab a scrap of paper, write down what you've heard, and quietly sneak away. You pick up a scrap, you stash the scrap of paper in your pack, and resolve to keep an eye out for the treasure on your travels. thick fog impedes your vision. You surmise this is in no small part why they call it the Bewildering Wood. You hear a beautiful melody flowing from the forest depths. It sounds like your body is soothed by the gentle tone. It feels as though your fatigue has somehow washed away. A message is written on the sign. Seek out the 4 stela hidden deep in these woods. Found the northern stela. It doesn't look particularly special. You resolve to touch it anyhow. You've already investigated this stela. You touch it once more, just in case. Yep, it's still a rock. Trees bearing very solid-looking nuts whip to and fro in the forest. A bunch of nuts fly off from the trees, but you and your friends hightailed it out of there before any of them could hit you. You have found the southern stela. You smack it and hear a sound off to the west. You'd best head that way next. You have found the western stela, which you swear up and down was not here when you came in. Nevertheless, you give it a smack. You have found the eastern stela. You have investigated all 4 of the stela and the Bewildering Wood. You hear a sound, and it's not all that far away. You hold the woodland flute you received from the good doot-doot-doot-doodly doot-doot-doot-doot. You blow a handful. You soon become aware of accompanying percussion, which reveals itself. A young woman appears by sheer coincidence, the flute, stunned by your good. But, she continues, extending her hand, that'll cost you 1,000. It's so. Hey! Riddis gasps. You look down at. You begrudgingly hand. Riddis plucks the woodland flute out of your hands with glee and begins playing it as she skips away. It's that away, Riddis says gleefully, pointing past the stela before you. Welcome to Woodland. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm quite busy for the rest of the day. So you'll have to wait till tomorrow to leave the forest, she says. It turns out this inn is simply a place where the poor, lost souls trapped in the bewildering Mar sits. He lets out a self-satisfied burp that sends the sun sinks low, and the day draws to a close. A scream. The others follow suit, and before long you've burst. Ridis's house is ablaze, a nearby villager screams. My mother is still inside, Ridis shrieks, darting past you to fetch water from the well south of the village. Ridis is gathering water in an attempt to fight the blaze. Mar's eyes light up. He scrambles over the edge of the well and sucks the well dry in an instant. He pokes at his swollen belly and gestures toward Ridis's house, as if to say, "Get me back there, quick." Mar douses the house with the water he sucked. The fire is reduced to mere embers, and all is well. Or so you think. Something darts out from behind the house and attacks. And fire. The fire. Ridis's mother now. What would bring a creature of fire to a place like this, you wonder? Light breaks on a new day, and the commotion of the fire feels but a nightmare. You lead your party to Ridis's house to ask for safe passage out of the bewildering wood. Though spared from complete collapse, Ridis's home has been thoroughly scorched. Why do you want to venture out beyond the bewildering wood anyway? That doesn't concern you, you cur. At last, Ridis is ready to depart for the edge of the bewildering wood. Upon seeing that Ridis is with you, he steps aside and lets you through. The eastern portion of the woods certainly does not want for thick, soupy fog. You turn away. Ridis appears to be familiar. Oh dear. I'll thank you kindly to pay by the end of the month. Hee hee. Ridis lets out a She pulls the woodland flute from her cloak and begins Ridis's ear-splitting performance, shall we say, draws monsters out from behind the trees. Within moments, they are nearly upon you. That's odd. I must have made a mistake. She opens the book to a particular page. No matter how many times you finally see that so long. Melanie quietly opines that while Riddis is many things, bright is not one of them. As you listen closely, the grass rustles. Realizing you've been caught in the harpy's trap, you ready your weapons. For some time after that, you find yourself trembling at the mere sound of a bird's tweet. As she does, a hidden path out of the bewildering wood comes into view. At last, you are free. You've certainly kept your... I was hoping I could join you on your quest to defeat the dragon. Riddis suddenly... No, I won't dilute my... Have you no heart? Are you just... Melanie calmly reminds your well-reasoned argument of no thwarted. You nod your head in resignation and welcome Riddis to the party. Let's head to... You see something approach... A monster, Melanie shouts, readying... Mr. Flobby, get back here. What a weird... We aren't staying a moment longer than necessary, says an unsettled Melanie, her distaste for monsters plain on her face. Down here, at thy feet, Lappy the furball looks at you with amiable expectation. Of course, the more the merrier. Thoroughly rejected by Melanie, Lappy You tell Melanie to be nice. However, Lappy leaps up and hugs her in his excitement, exclaiming, "Thou hast..." Though she thought all monsters... Finally, a friend. He laughs, then shamelessly praises his own village as being one. After explaining that you must be tired from your journey. Have a seat. I will have my chef prepare a feast, the headman says, then claps his hands. You wipe your mouth with your sleeve. There. We'll eat soon, you reassure. With tears in her eyes, you are starving. But it doesn't look like you'll be able to partake of the feast. Unable to restrain yourself any longer, You open your mouth and you grab the savage maw. You'll get a tummy ache if you eat that. You need to hear the whole story from the young girl. The girl sobbed. The girl then hands something to Melanie. She asks Melanie to wipe. Regardless, looking aimlessly outside the village would be a waste of time. You decide to collect more information in the village. Melanie's friend Lappy is... Despite her hatred of monsters, Melanie doesn't seem to mind. Did that man take Mr. Flobby? You resolve to leave the village in search of the pair. Though a torch is not strictly necessary, it would certainly help you find your way through the dimly lit shrine. Your footing is obscured in the dimness of the shrine. You go forth slowly but steadily. Taking it once, you take a good look at the floor and see it lined in trails of viscous liquid. No doubt a slime or 200 have passed through here. It looks like poor Mr. Flobby is being... When you're out, it seems the man has noticed Melanie as well. According to the man's revelation makes you realize that you know almost nothing about... You ask Melanie about her hometown. With forbidden magic, our clan... She rattles on about the man. You have so many questions, but realize... Careful, he won't go down easy. During the headman may look like a nice old man. Winifred, the Ivory Order, and that false justice they serve are the true evil here. He retaliates, fighting back. Seeing the two parties occupied with each other, you realize this is your chance to grab Mr. Flobby. Perhaps wary of humans, Mr. Flobby dashes out when you draw near. When you reach out to grab Mr. Flobby, lower Mr. Flobby's stamina to calm him down. Find something to help return Mr. Flobby to normal. You wipe Mr. Flobby's mouth with the handkerchief then you hear a quiet voice speak. It looks like, having regained his senses, you place the increasingly sticky handkerchief in your bag. Lappy approaches and tells you that Mr. Flobby has returned. The girl is I'm happy for you, Melanie. The girl bows her head. Of course not. But bring him back soon, she answers with a bright smile. I'm so happy to see you explain everything that happened. He then thanks you for your hard work and instructs his stewardess to prepare dinner for your party. You can feel your collective mouths watering at the sight of the lavish meal. You, Mar, and Ridis immediately dig in. You aren't sure where you find them. Please, eat to your heart's content. Once your belly is full, you realize that room for dessert, the headman asks, offering you. The color strikes you as familiar, and the stickiness sends a shiver down your spine. Is this? The headman looks at this dish, and I have you brave heroes to thank for it. Had you not brought that slime back, we would not be able to enjoy this exquisite dessert. He points at Mar and asks, would you consider leaving that creature? Never. You refuse. Think about it. You grab the headman by his lapels, hands trembling in fury. You pummel the headman with curled up on the... You meet eyes with the rest of your party and reach a tacit agreement. Together, you all stand and leave. As you... The old man's... But Mar, the keener of you two, is with a crack. From the headman's hand falls a small blade. It clatters to the ground, covered in blood. Despite the shallow wound, I heard that as he reaches Mar's bedside, this is what-you-call-it extract, he shouts. He explains that it is a poison. Isn't there? Lappy's eyes widen in realization. He then puts the what-you-call-it extract into a bottle and hands it to you. He tells you to give the extract to the famous nutritionist there. Realizing that you are at fault for this, you don't hesitate. But this is strange. The extract comes from a monster, so it should have no effect on one, Lappy remarks with a curious tilt of his head.
Son 7, me quedan 3. El 4 y el 5 van a...
Look, you two, it's the sea, Riddis exclaimed. You, on the other hand, trudge along feeling something at you. It appears you've stepped on a monster's cape, making it very upset. It attacks you in fury. Rumor in the village has it that it might be the dragon. To sign up, you open the door without knocking. A muscular man emerges from the back. You politely ask if he is the new... He says he has been studying... He stares at the... opens the bottle and laps at the... However, he says he needs a special fish to make the necessary supplement. When he explains that you can catch one in the circle, she shows you a page. That book comes in. It sounds like his son is fishing on the wharf. You decide to go find him. You see a young man with his line in the water. He asks if you have business with him. Though you are pretty sure of the end, you introduce yourself. He says that you know Odio needs a spry fish to make that supplement. Hearing the despair in your voice, you thank him for the information. Is it a reward you're after? You are about to ask. But Melanie smacks you on the head before you can voice it and allows him to come along. What will you ask Bruno? Curious about his attire, he confessed that he once wished for armor, but deemed it unnecessary after... You ask Bruno about his... Bruno replies that apparently he only carries around a sword. In that moment, you realize the words "birds of a feather flock together" run through your mind, but you quickly chase them away, afraid of what that means for you. Mars' fate rests upon this man's haul. Terrible, he says, showing you the few fish he's caught. You ask him if you can have the spry fish, but he says he won't give... When you ask how much it will cost, you're heartless, Riddis. He challenges the man. This one's all yours. Then let the carnival of my... Your puny body is no match for mine, the piscator shouts back, throwing a punch. Looking ripped. Witness the power of power. Defeated, the Piscator hands over the spry fish to Bruno. Bruno extends an unspoken friendship begins to form between the two. Or at least, you hope that's what the prolonged silence between them means. With the spry fish in hand, you head back towards Oreo's clinic. Bruno looks at your group sadly, reluctant for this little adventure to end. You hand the fish to... "Give me a moment," he says, then takes the fish and heads into the back. "It's ready," he says, emerging from his room and handing you a bottle. You hope this will get Mar back on his feet. You need to get back to... You wordlessly extend a hand to Bruno. Bruno takes... You can feel the bone. You make a mental note, but Bruno stops. But Oreo is squats at hyper speed. "I want to show this power. You have much to learn, my son." Or only the sound of their labored... You can only look on in stunned silence at the enigmatic display. You realize that these two have a very special way of talking that no one else can understand. Hearing yet another roar in the distance, you realize you need to get the supplement to Mar so you can investigate the sound together. It appears the headman's long-standing pronouncement on the welcoming of all magical creatures also applies to you and your party. Mar lies listlessly upon the bed, looking somewhat haggard. You help Mar sit up. He weakly opens his mouth, and you slowly pour the energy concentrate inside. Mar abruptly... It looks like Mar is all better now. You give Mar a tight hug. Bruno is deeply moved to see nutrition bringing a smile to others. You decide to take Bruno back to Shoreland, then continue your search for the dragon. You arrive at Bruno's house. Though he seems to want to adventure a little more, you reluctantly... With that, your next step... Bruno looks at you, his eyes begging you to let him come along. What? You know he would make a good ally. Will you let him... You nod. Yeah, Bruno is happy he can continue after hearing his son, and in the blink of an eye, and Bruno is lifted off his... Your eyes go wide at Oreo's... Wow, nutrition. You tremble. Though Oreo still deems his son's not... Thank you, Father, Bruno says from the ground. So it comes to pass that you journey to the tower with Bruno to find the roaring beast. Yet another... pick up as you stash the scrap of paper in your pack and resolve to keep an eye out for the treasure on your travels. We have finally a Bruno. Riddis snorts to herself, seeing you red in the face from jumping to conclusions. You snort to yourself, seeing Riddis red in the face. Bruno exhales deeply, then and it opens. It seems this is the power of power, Bruno pants, but you promptly ignore him and enter the tower. It sounds like he is saying something important, but you do not understand it in the slightest. Riddis has given up on thinking and whistles an offbeat melody to herself. You have made a poor choice. Bruno is admiring his own muscles gleam while everyone is distracted. The monster attacks. And fight. something glimmer. Melanie asks why we were poor, leaving your past a mystery. You quickly throw aside the shiny piece of glass and move on. It sounds like he is saying something profound, but you do not understand it. Bruno silently compares his muscles against the monster's, then grins proudly to himself. Realizing the creature's words are beyond her comprehension, you feel your eye twitch. While everyone is distracted, the monster attacks. Rout the enemy. Nice work. Though the battle is over, she did not say any more, but her hatred for the beast was clear in her eyes. hear the roar again. It seems to be coming from the upper level. Mar mules, as if it sounds like the roaring beast is close. The door is shut tight. You spy a keyhole on it, suggesting the existence of a corresponding key. The door before you is shut quite tightly. You insert the magical key into the hole and turn. You hear the lock come undone with a loud clank. The dragon may be just ahead. Now we slay the dragon for riches. On your demotivating words, everyone proceeds through the doorway. Whether or not the beast is weak, you care not. You muster up your courage and shout your legs, but no matter how scared you are, the dragon will not wait. We shall strike you down, you exclaim. Vince, if you too. It seems Melanie has lost her composure before the dragon returns the favor by spewing fire. You seem to stand no chance against the revitalized. Vince climbs atop the beast. Stay out of this, Vince commands, then flies off toward the western sea. Drink this, Bruno claims he drinks it every day. It is a recipe from make her drink it already. Melanie has a bad feeling about it, but downs it at ease with her recovery. You descend the tower. the ocean, return to shoreland in search of a boat to pursue the dragon. When you return, he says a raging wind blew. Sensing there may be a problem, you quickly make your way to the wharf. Your brow beside you, Bruno stretches, warming up his body. After striking a fantastic pose to show off, no matter how hard he pushes, it's pointless, you sigh. Turning around, a muscle-bound Melanie stands before you. It appears that her whole body... You need Melanie's help to catch the dragon. You call out to her, hoping to distract her from her shame. You shout out. You hear your bones creak in a way you've never... But afterward, the two muscle-bound form... You're wrong. At any rate, you leave the port town and follow the dragon. Just as you are about to leave, Odio comes to see Mount Medica. Something stirs deep inside your chest, but you blame your imagination. Wasn't that...